Today's experience was sent to us by a sister. Jesus Christ revealed to her who the next American president will be. Nothing have been added and nothing have been removed. I read as sent to us. My name is Barbara. For as long as I can remember, asthma has been a constant companion in my life. 16 years, 16 long years of battling for each breath, never knowing when the next attack would strike. Through every wheeze and gasp, I held on to the hope that one day, God would take this burden from me. My faith has always been my anchor. Even when the nights were long and the inhaler felt like a lifeline, I knew God had a purpose for my suffering. I believed that my healing would come, not in my timing, but in His. So, I committed myself to serving Him and my community, using my experience to help others. Every day, I dedicated myself to church, finding strength and hope in worship. But my mission extended beyond the four walls of the church. Serving others has always been at the heart of my journey, especially when it comes to raising awareness about asthma. I began conducting free community services dedicated to educating people about this condition that had impacted my life so profoundly. Organizing workshops and informational sessions, I shared my experiences and knowledge, hoping to provide support and understanding to those who were either suffering silently or caring for loved ones with asthma. Seeing people come together, ask questions, and learn how to navigate this chronic illness brought me immense joy and fulfillment. My goal was to empower individuals with the tools and knowledge they needed to take control of their health and improve their quality of life. May 27, 2024, began like any other day. I felt the usual tightness in my chest, but nothing out of the ordinary. I had grown accustomed to managing the discomfort, so I didn't think much of it as I went about my day. But as the afternoon wore on, I began to notice that my breathing was becoming more labored. The tightness in my chest intensified, and I realized that an attack was coming on. Instinctively, I reached for my inhaler, only to remember with a jolt that I had left it in my bedroom. Panic started to set in as I felt my airway constricting. I needed that inhaler, but it was too far out of reach. To make matters worse, the house was eerily quiet. Everyone had gone out to attend a local charity event that our community had been organizing for months. It was an important cause, and I had encouraged them to go, never imagining that I might need help. I was alone. As the minutes passed, my breathing became more shallow, and I felt my strength slipping away. As my breathing grew more labored, I could feel my body weakening. Each breath became a struggle, my chest tightening like a vice. The room around me began to blur, and a wave of dizziness washed over me. I tried to stay calm, to focus on taking slow, steady breaths, but the panic was overwhelming. My vision started to darken at the edges, and I felt a cold sweat breaking out across my skin. I knew I was losing the fight to stay conscious. In those final moments, everything around me faded into darkness. The last thing I remember was the sound of my own shallow breathing. I then saw how I was seeing myself laying helpless, and within a split of seconds, I was surrounded by an intense, blinding light. It was so bright that at first, I couldn't see anything else. I felt as though I had been suddenly awake, but in a place that was entirely unfamiliar. The light was warm, not harsh, and as I adjusted to it, a sense of peace began to wash over me, pushing away the fear that had gripped me moments before. As the light around me softened, I found myself standing before a breathtaking city, unlike anything I had ever seen. The entire place seemed to shine with a radiance that took my breath away, if I had breath to take. The streets beneath my feet were made of pure gold, so polished that they reflected the brilliance of everything around them. The buildings, too, were crafted from precious stones, each one more magnificent than the last, gleaming with an otherworldly beauty. The sight was so glorious, so awe-inspiring, that I could hardly take it all in. Everywhere I looked, there was splendor beyond imagination. The city was alive with light, but as I gazed up, I noticed something astonishing. There was no sun. The light that illuminated everything didn't come from the sky, but seemed to emanate from the very air itself. It was as if the entire city was bathed in a perpetual, divine glow, a light that never dimmed and never cast a shadow. This light was warm and enveloping, filling every corner of the city with a sense of peace and joy. The absence of the sun didn't feel strange, it felt perfect, as though this was how it was always meant to be. As I stood in awe of the heavenly city, I began to notice the presence of others around me. Souls of all ages were moving through the golden streets, their faces radiating joy and contentment. There were children laughing, as well as the elderly, whose expressions held a great sense of peace. Everyone seemed to be caught up in a shared happiness, a deep, unspoken connection that united them all. Yet, despite the multitude of souls, none of them seemed to see me. They were entirely immersed in the joy of this place, as if nothing could disturb their perfect contentment. As I took in this wondrous sight, I felt a presence approaching from behind. Turning slowly, I saw a figure coming toward me. Instantly, I knew who it was: Jesus Christ. His appearance was unmistakable, the gentle glow around him, the robes that seemed to glow with light, and most of all, the marks on his hands and feet. The wounds from the crucifixion were still visible, clear signs of the sacrifice he had made. And as he drew nearer, I felt an overwhelming wave of love and peace emanating from him. It was a love so pure and powerful that it filled my entire being, calming every fear and doubt I had ever known. As Jesus came closer, the love that radiated from him was beyond anything I had ever felt. It was an unconditional love that wrapped around me like a warm embrace, reaching the deepest parts of my soul. Along with this love came an indescribable peace, a perfect stillness that quieted every fear, every worry. It was as if all the burdens I had carried in life simply melted away in his presence. When he spoke, I didn't hear words in the way we understand them, yet I understood everything perfectly. It wasn't English or any language I knew, but rather a divine communication that resonated directly within my heart and mind. Every syllable was filled with meaning, and I knew exactly what he was saying, as if the message was being inscribed on my soul. He invited me to follow him. There was no hesitation in my heart. I knew I would follow him anywhere. As I took a step forward, I felt lighter, more whole than I had ever felt before. There was no pain, no asthma, no struggle, only the overwhelming presence of Jesus and the path he was leading me on. As I followed Jesus, we walked together until we came to a magnificent tree unlike any I had ever seen. Its branches were strong and wide, reaching out with a certain grace, and its leaves covered with a golden hue. But what caught my attention most were the two fruits hanging from its branches. As I stood there in awe, my eyes were drawn to the trunk of the tree. There, inscribed in shimmering gold letters, were the words United States of America. The inscription was so vivid, so precise. I knew that this tree held a deep spiritual meaning, something far beyond what I could fully grasp in that moment. Though he hadn't spoken yet, I could sense the importance of what he was about to reveal. The tree wasn't just any tree, it represented something great, something connected to the destiny of the nation whose name it bore. As I stood before the tree, Jesus began to speak, and though his words were not in any earthly language, I understood them with perfect clarity. He revealed that the two fruits on the tree represented two significant moments in the future of the United States of America. One of these fruits would fall, symbolizing the rise of a leader chosen by God to guide the nation in a crucial time. I watched in silence as one of the fruits suddenly detached from the branch and gently fell to the ground. Jesus then explained that this fruit that is still on the tree, the fruit represent the leader who would soon emerge, a figure who would be both controversial and misunderstood as the next American president. This leader would not fit the mold of what many expected, and his actions would be scrutinized and often misinterpreted. But despite the controversy surrounding him, his role would be pivotal in guiding America back to the path aligned with God's will. Jesus spoke of how this leader would lead the nation away from conflict and division, steering it toward peace and unity. His decisions, though often questioned, would ultimately reflect the will of God rather than the will of men. This leader's journey would not be easy, and the opposition would be fierce, but he was chosen for this very purpose, to bring about a divine shift in the nation's course. This leader's rise would be a turning point, a moment when the nation would be given a choice to follow the will of God. As Jesus shared this vision, he spoke in a way that felt great, using a parable to convey the deeper meaning of the revelation. He communicated that while the leader's path would be controversial, it was essential for believers to seek discernment to understand and support God's will. He revealed that appearances can be deceiving and that the true nature of God's plans often unfolds in ways that are not immediately obvious. Jesus emphasized that spiritual discernment is crucial in recognizing and embracing the path that aligns with divine purposes, even when it challenges conventional expectations or seems difficult to comprehend. He urged believers to remain vigilant and prayerful, to seek God's guidance in understanding the times and the roles that individuals might play in fulfilling His will. Jesus Christ then guided me to a serene, crystal-clear stream that flowed gently beside us. The water sparkled with a divine light, and as I approached, I felt an irresistible pull to drink from it. Jesus assured me that this water flowed directly from the throne of God. With reverence, I cupped my hands and took a sip. The moment the water touched my lips, a wave of warmth and vitality surged through me. It was as if the water itself carried healing power, washing away every trace of my asthma. As I drank, I could feel my chest relaxing, the tightness easing, and my breathing becoming free and effortless. The struggle I had lived with for years vanished instantly. I stood there, astonished, feeling completely restored and renewed. The healing was so immediate and complete that it was almost beyond belief, but I knew in my heart that it was a gift from God, made possible through the divine intervention of Jesus. Suddenly, I jolted back to consciousness. I was lying in my own room. There was no medical team rushing around me, no beeping monitors, just the peaceful silence of my surroundings. I sat up, feeling a sense of clarity and relief. As I took a deep breath, I realized with amazement that my chest was free from the usual tightness. I could breathe effortlessly, something I hadn't experienced in years. The struggle with asthma was gone, replaced by a sense of well-being. I knew in that moment that the healing I had received was complete and miraculous. It was as if the encounter with Jesus and the divine water had transformed my very being, restoring me to full health without any need for medical intervention. This experience that God gave me carries a vital message for all believers. We are called to pray fervently for America's future, asking for God's will to be done and for His guidance in the coming times. It is crucial to seek divine intervention to ensure that His purposes are fulfilled in the nation's leadership and policies. Moreover, we must strive for peace and unity within the nation. In a time of division and conflict, our prayers and actions should focus on healing and reconciliation, reflecting the love and peace that God desires for all. Let us heed this call and work together to bring about a future where God's will prevails and His peace reigns. Thank you for staying to the end, friends. Kindly like and share this video with your family and friends so they too can be blessed. Subscribe to our channel so you can know anytime we share experiences sent to us. Thank you.